All right, now that Black History Month is over, let's talk about something more lighthearted. Like, I don't know, how about classic memes? Oh hey, I remember this one. Isn't it fun and quirky how this 25-year-old looks like he's 13, but has the voice of a 60-year-old? Like, oh my god. How cute is it that even the most paper bag passing biracial kid who grew up in the suburbs with two parents can still, express the degradation and fear people of color face every single day of their lives in America? Chocolate Rain is the 2007 viral video that single-handedly transformed Tay Zonday into one of the world's first internet celebrities.
Joining me now is the Chocolate Rain guy.
The young musician and voiceover actor has stated that the song rose to popularity on 4chan, a website popular for three things: anime, projecting one's petty insecurities onto the pop culture zeitgeist, and white supremacist indoctrination. Promoted by misogynist asshats like Opie and Anthony and Maury Povich, the song was parodied multiple times, including this one by Green Day drummer Trey Cool.
Chocolate Rain.
Yeah, this is just low-effort blackface. Now this is high-effort blackface.
Chocolate Rain.
It almost makes you think that, the whole thing was a dog whistle for people who wanted to laugh at the struggle of black Americans. That made it onto Jimmy fucking Kimmel. Now, I'm not the first person to analyze the lyrics of this song, as this video from August of 2007 proves, as does this fairly popular r/breadtube post from about a year ago. It's also worth noting that Mr. Zonday does not seem to really care if anyone recognizes the overarching message being presented here.
I gotta ask you, I've been listening to this song over and over again. What's the gist of it? What is the meaning behind this song?
Man, I don't know. I mean, and it's like I'm not even gonna get into that debate. It's kind of like the lyrics come out, and that's what they are. I mean, it's kind of like what does any other song mean? I mean,
so much so, in fact, that he was open to remixing it for a cherry chocolate diet Dr. Pepper commercial, which has quickly become the hardest cringe I have ever cringed, far surpassing the cringe experience during the now infamous and extremely cringeworthy Stephen Baldwin and Rosie Perez Woodstock 99 performance. I really can't believe how bad this remix is. Still, there's just this one brief clip in this video that's worth checking out. We'll get to the real song in a second. After a way too long intro featuring some of the worst ad-libbing I have ever heard in my life, Tay starts the song by saying, just a terrible first draft lyric. Zero fucks given. But look at the video. They went out of their way to shoot him in front of a green screen with an image of Chocolate Rain literally sweeping the nation from west to east. If you didn't know, the American Civil War started with a disagreement between the North and South about whether or not slavery would be permitted in the West. Even though the whole song is about how racial tension is actually not in the past at all. But we'll get there. This video is not brought to you by Rigmon. Rigmon is the creation of venture capitalists and offers cheap Chinese slave labor products made with environmentally destructive materials at a considerable markup. Any reasonable leftist creator could easily search for sustainable headphones and find that the Marley family actually offers more affordable ones, made with sustainable materials, and uses profits to fund reforestation and ocean preservation initiatives. But I guess they aren't offering up all those big advertising bucks all the leftist creators are clamoring for.
Chocolate Rain. Some stay dry and others feel the pain.
The opening lines find Zonday remarking on the inconsistencies of the black experience. Many people of color are not regular victims of overt forms of prejudice, and some even have stories of compassionate white people who went above and beyond to help them, which is used as a proof of racial progress, or even to dismiss racism altogether.
Yeah, he was a cop, and my life was saved by a white man. I don't know what racism is.
The reason people do this is because racism is really fucking sad and scary to think about. And if you have the opportunity as a black person to avoid it, I'd imagine that sounds pretty enticing. Even if it involves a little cognitive dissonance, you certainly wouldn't be alone in that department in America. Furthermore, it's much easier to think that the white cop that saved your life as a kid is just a good guy who helps everyone, and not a complicated person whose definition of serve and protect changes depending on his mood. Obligatory 40%. There's also the modern racist concept that black people are inherently violent and aggressive, and all black children need to do is unlearn this predilection to be accepted by white society. That's most likely what old Uncle Bob was thinking when he saved you there, Wayne. Which you are not wondering, because thinking about racism as a black man in America is very, very painful. And even dangerous. This is worth repeating. I get it. We are not criticizing black people here.
Chocolate Rain. A baby born will die before the medicine.
Oh, you know, just another catchy viral meme song that casually discusses infant mortality in the second couplet. Here, we see the stark realization that many children of color will not even make it to the modern slave auction that Uncle Bob and his buddies are sworn to defend.
Chocolate rain. The school books say it can't be here again.
Excuse me, Professor, how did passing a few laws that say people aren't allowed to hire or serve people based on race undo centuries of falsified racial propaganda? You believe that you can't solve racism?
To think that this is not part of what our kids are dealing with.
Well, should they be taught pro-racist curriculum? Let me ask you this. Are you anti-racist or are you pro-racist?
Chocolate rain. The prisons make you wonder where it went.
This tongue-in-cheek line points a finger directly at the prison industrial complex and their ongoing marketing campaign of authoritarian law and order for the betterment of civilized society. Yeah, real-life Nazi shit here, guys.
It is time for an honest look at the problem of order in the United States. Dissent is a necessary ingredient of change. But in a system of government that provides for peaceful change, there is no cause that justifies resort to violence.
Chocolate rain. Forecast to be falling yesterday. Chocolate rain. Only in the past is what they say.
Really laying in on the weather metaphor, the young wordsmith alludes to the idea that many consider racism to be a thing of the past, a season that will never come again. Because that's totally how seasons work.
Chocolate rain. Raise your neighborhood insurance rates. Chocolate rain. Makes us happy living in a gate.
My hometown of Boston is just really great at hiding people of color. You see this orange line here? Yeah, that's the line of demarcation. Literally everything to the left of this line is affluent white neighborhoods, with the aforementioned smattering of wealthy black people. Often, these green lines make stops every few hundred feet to accommodate patrons. To the right, you can find every single rough neighborhood in the city, even as you go north of the river. Revere Beach is fucking grimy, dude. Right over here, in the Somerville, Charlestown area, where my father grew up, is kind of a gray area, as is Quincy Center. Right down here, many of these areas are experiencing considerable gentrification, which is perceived by many as the white man's insatiable desire for colonialism, but is in fact just a result of the unsustainable expansion of capitalism. See what I did there? Just like black people, and every other made-up group of people, white people do not have inherent attributes or qualities. Capitalism invented whiteness and blackness. This gal was not black. This guy was not white. This goes out to all the people who have a reactionary temper tantrum every time I say the words class reductionism. It's really not that hard to address and empathize with the very real experience of racist persecution, while simultaneously recognizing that it's a construct used to create class division. Try it out.
What the Who are you serving right now?
Chocolate rain. Made me cross the street the other day. Chocolate rain. Made you turn your head the other way.
The final lines of the verse perfectly highlight the seemingly indivisible crossroads of race and class in America. I know for a fact that many people of color go out of their way to avoid white people, especially when alone, so as to not invoke some deep-seated fear and potential violent reaction.
Please send the cops immediately.
I also know for a fact that if many people of color are walking alone and see a crew like this, they're going to be as worried about their personal safety as any white person. Especially this guy. Sorry, man. Despite all this tension, my experience has informed me that what most black people would like is to have some nice, normal eye contact with strangers and some recognition of their humanity. Like someone saying, I don't know, get this. Hello, how are you? I think they call it community? Is that the word?
We're not shaming anybody, guys. We're just humbling ourselves before you. Yes, Lord.
Chocolate rain. History quickly crashing through your veins. Chocolate rain. Using you to fall back down again.
The lyrics come to life on the track, with the ubiquitous arpeggiated piano now backed by a menacingly staccato left hand. The beating of the heart itself becomes an act of aggression, forcing onto each living being a set of ancient attributes and influences they had no hand in creating.
Chocolate rain. Seldom mentioned on the radio. It's the fear your leaders car control. Worse than swearing, worse than calling names. Say it publicly and you're insane.
Okay, taking the refrain out makes the song much more intense. Holy shit. In the first verse, the song is actually providing us with the white liberal perspective of racism in America. The second verse offers a complete reframing of the metaphor. This is not about the N-word, as one might assume, but something far more taboo. Black nationalism. Like chocolate rain, get it?
Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar, get it?
The opening lines serve as subtle misdirection, giving the listener the impression that this is all about censorship. Yet, despite it being bleeped, the N-word is very prevalent on the radio, as are the many negative black stereotypes pop music promotes and upholds. The point is, we all know when it's being said, and its use is, for better or worse, probably attracting more listeners than it is deterring them. What is not being discussed on the medium that is being kept on life support by black culture and the working class are things like reparations or, black American autonomy in any form. You see, white America has been led to believe that for black Americans to receive generational compensation for the physical labor and intellectual contributions that built this nation, they will, at best, personally have to give up something, and at worst, will have to endure a lifetime of literal slavery at the hands of black people. The totally logical and factual reasoning behind this actually stems from a very common fundamentalist Christian belief that 100% of humans who have ever existed are inherently evil and selfish creatures that will find any opportunity to stab their loved ones in the back. Except that one guy. The fear your leaders call control is paralyzing xenophobia. The insanity worse than swearing or calling names is the African American birthright of economic freedom.
What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court? Has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him.
Chocolate rain. No one wants to hear about it now. Chocolate rain. Which real hard it goes away somehow.
After desegregation, the efforts of the American media and government have been geared towards presenting the narrative that we as a nation have fully corrected the mistakes of the past and are now at the forefront of social development. The problem is, Western society is based on thousands of years of abject narcissism. So to those in power, simply promising with fingers crossed not to abuse people for profit is considered an act of the most noble and compassionate generosity. Progress reports on these promises will not be provided. Unless you're teaching Mexican children about the return of Quetzalcoatl and the safe preparation of plant medicines, and black children about how the US government is actively committing genocide on people who look like them all across the globe, might as well tell the Mexican kids about that too. You're assisting the white establishment in their goals of whitewashing history.
Chocolate rain. Every February washed away. Chocolate rain. Stays behind as colors celebrate.
Relegated to the shortest and coldest month of the year, Black History Month is a time where America celebrates generational Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know, like Sacramento Syndrome? I'm just riffing here. How can we Americanize this concept? We're quite obviously the best at it. What stays behind during this month of political pandering is the notion that the ancestors of the people who were worked and treated like animals for 350 years deserve more than a mere opportunity to engage in their own chosen form of exploitation.
Chocolate rain. The same crime has a higher price to pay. Chocolate rain. The judge and jury swear it's not the face.
The final step in snuffing out black nationalism was to make up a bunch of crimes, a technique that had been used many times previously to re-enslave black Americans, and either imprison or just straight up murder as many black people as possible.
Chocolate rain. Dirty secrets of economy. Chocolate rain. Turns that body into GDP.
The dirty secret of the American economy is that for 100% of its existence, it's relied on imprisoning and enslaving black and indigenous people to support itself. No one has ever been successful under capitalism without the use of profits from slave labor. No one.
Chocolate rain. The bell curve blames the baby's DNA. Chocolate rain. But test scores are how much the parents make.
The Bell Curve is a 1994 book written by abusive behaviorist Richard Herrnstein and conservative think tank puppet Charles Murray, and suggests that human beings are genetically predisposed to intelligence. And that's it. That's the whole theory. Having trouble in life? Sorry, it's in your blood, my dude. On the other hand, anyone blessed with the incredibly rare compassion gene knows that if you give children the encouragement, space, and resources to comfortably learn and grow, a large majority of behavioral issues will sort themselves out. But that takes time, and we've got budgets to cut.
Chocolate rain. Flipping cars in France the other night.
This song was written in the mid-2000s, well before the Yellow Vest workers' movements began in France. Researching previous French movements led me to the 2003 bombing in Nice, which was attributed to the National Liberation Front of Corsica, a left-wing revolutionary party seeking to free itself from the shackles of French colonialism. The island of Corsica also looks surprisingly similar to the GTA 5 map. This is all I could come up with for these lyrics.
Chocolate rain cleans the sewers out beneath Mumbai.
As Western societies continue to push back against the parasitic nature of imperialism, Zonde reflects on the caste system of India, its modern administrative application enforced by British colonial law. In other words, this hierarchy shit runs deep. Blackness and whiteness are just the icing on the cake.
Chocolate rain across the world and back, it's all the same. Chocolate rain. Angels cry and shake their heads in shame.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. With a beautifully poetic turn of phrase, the young bard knows that the mighty servants of consciousness can do no more than shake their heads in shame as they are called upon to create another false kingdom.
Chocolate rain lifts the ark of paradise and sends chocolate rain. Which part do you think you're living in?
Ask yourself, are you really one of the chosen to enter the gates of Elysium? And more importantly, why would you want to be?
Chocolate rain, more than marching, more than passing law. Chocolate rain, remake how we got to where we are.
Yeah, he can say whatever he wants about this song. This was not a freestyled, off-the-cuff stream of consciousness thing. At all. Chocolate Rain not only sheds light on the manipulation that people of all races face under white American imperialism, but calls for the complete shutdown and restructuring of American society reflected in the demands of the many black revolutionary leaders that rose to prominence over the last 2 centuries. Like many great artists, Tay Zonde was able to hide a deeply political message in plain sight, hypnotically scribbling revolutionary mantras onto the back walls of our consciousness while we mindlessly chuckled at his uncharacteristic visage. The 1619 Project has nothing on a good meme. Thanks for watching. What were your first impressions of this song back in 07? Let us know in the comments. Hey, why don't you join our new membership program or support us on Patreon? We're going to be offering a bunch of exclusives and live streams, and I've long been unhireable due to my increasingly radical beliefs and unwillingness to keep quiet about them. You can consider your membership like a future political and/or bail fund. How about that? Good night and good luck.